Let's be real. When was the last time you put off going to the doctor? Maybe you said, I'm too busy, or it'll heal on its own. Or my personal favorite, I don't even know which doctor to go to. We've all been there. Booking a doctor's appointment can feel really daunting. But there's not really an excuse anymore, thanks to ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. Most bookings happen within 24 to 72 hours, and you can even sometimes get same-day visits. I know that if I ever needed this, it's exactly what I'd use. Stop putting off those doctor appointments and head to ZocDoc.com/Sportly to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Sportly. ZocDoc.com/Sportly.
Shoulders over your hands, hips right over your knees. Grab your left.
When you imagine a Pilates studio, you might think mats, resistance bands, wooden chairs, white walls and light oak floors. The decor? Minimal and clean. Maybe one of those quintessentially millennial neon signs in a sea of beige and soft neutrals. But what you're picturing isn't just a studio, is it? It's an aesthetic. Affluence and minimalism, or quiet luxury. Really, it's the aesthetics of whiteness. Hey everyone, it's Kavitha Davidson, and welcome back to Sportly. Today, we're taking a look at Pilates and how it became the exercise for the white elite. Over the past few years, Pilates has emerged as a real force in exercise culture. ClassPass, a popular exercise subscription platform, reported double the amount of interest in Pilates between 2023 and 2024. It was the most popular workout on the platform last year, and there are no signs of a slowdown anytime soon. Here in the US, millions more are signing up for classes every year. And it seems to be most enjoyed by very specific subsects of people, coined the LA Pilates girl in the Los Angeles Times. They're white, thin, and wealthy. But is it actually true that Pilates has always belonged to white people? Where did that image come from? And why does Pilates continue to feel so exclusionary? How can we change it? First things first, let's make sure we're all clear. What exactly is Pilates? Well, it's a stretching, conditioning exercise. Honestly, a lot of Pilates is kind of confusing. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't really understand what Pilates is, including people who do it all the time. So before we move any further, let's go back in time to the man who started it all. Joseph Pilates, the founder of Pilates, is not your typical hero. His story really begins at an internment camp in the United Kingdom. You see, Pilates had moved from Germany to England in 1912 to pursue a career as a circus performer and boxer. And at the start of World War I, Pilates found himself on the wrong side, simply by virtue of his German citizenship. He would be joined by tens of thousands other Germans, Australians, and Irish, forcibly interned at the Knockalow internment camp in the Isle of Man. Their crime? Belonging to the wrong nationality or ethnic group. Morale was understandably low at the internment camp. With little to do, confinement took a real toll on the mental health of the interned. Many were physically ill as well. The camp hospital was packed with sick prisoners and few resources to treat them. But Pilates set out to make the best of his incarceration. He viewed it as an opportunity to answer big questions he had pondered since childhood about the capabilities of the human body. So he began studying scientific treatises, the dexterous ease of cats, and the carefree movement of children, using them to develop new exercises. Here's a clip from the PBS mini-documentary, Mr. Pilates.
Joe, exercising, knew that it was something that helped his personal suffering and knew that physical fitness invigorated him to keep going.
But Mr. Pilates was never selfish. For him, the work was really about finding ways of helping his sick and injured friends.
He was able to get people to get off the ground and do something physical to get through all that they had to deal with.
By the end of his internment, Pilates had invented what he called contrology, a type of exercise that uses repetitive movements to build core strength, flexibility, and posture. Today, we know it as Pilates. So maybe you're wondering, how did Pilates go from an exercise for the sickly and injured to a status symbol for wealthy white women? In fact, the next person to play an important role in making Pilates into what it is today wasn't white at all. Kathy Stanford Grant was an American Pilates instructor, one of only 2 in history to receive training from Mr. Pilates himself. In the 1940s, she moves to New York with the hopes of becoming a dancer. At first, she doesn't have much luck. She would often tell friends about her struggles finding work in the Broadway scene as a black woman. She finds work as a chorus girl at the Zanzibar nightclub, where she and other black performers played for white-only audiences. But, determined as she is, Grant eventually lands roles in Broadway productions like Finian's Rainbow and Kiss Me Kate. She spends years traveling the world as a dancer until her career is cut short by a knee injury. But it was this injury that would change everything for Grant and the entire world of Pilates. You see, after her injury, Grant is referred to a trainer to rehabilitate her knee, none other than Joseph Pilates. Mr. Pilates quickly becomes her mentor. The two train together for over 2,000 hours. Grant gets more and more involved in the new exercise, and just a few years in, she takes a job to teach Pilates at a studio in the city. After 10 years and over 2,000 hours of training, she becomes one of only 2 practitioners to receive a certification from Mr. Pilates himself. The other was a woman named Lolita San Miguel, also a woman of color. After getting certified, Grant's star begins to rise. In the 1970s, she becomes executive director at the Dance Theater of Harlem. Soon, she would be running her very own Pilates program at a department store in the city. As word on Pilates began to spread, Grant plays an important role in legitimizing the practice, joining the faculty at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts to teach her very own Pilates course every year. No doubt, she's had a pretty accomplished career, and in many ways, Grant is known as kind of a Pilates legend. A quick search online, and you'll find an abundance of accounts from Grant's close friends, students, and coworkers, sharing how she touched their lives with her enthusiasm, humor, and, as one former student put it, witchiness. Here's Rael Izakowicz of Bassi Pilates, who is a friend of Grant's.
She's part of this exclusive group of teachers we regard as the first generation that were taught by Joseph Pilates himself. A great part of her legacy is that Kathy was an African-American woman who grew up during a very difficult time in the United States. She was a dancer and had tremendous struggles in the dance community as well as the Pilates community.
But it's fair to say that for many of the people who practice Pilates today, Kathleen Grant isn't exactly a household name. While you can find extensive biographies, tributes, and plenty of other kinds of content about Joseph Pilates, the same can't really be said for Grant. This kind of erasure of such a fundamental figure in the Pilates space is really just a symptom of a larger problem, the lack of visibility for people of color. And people are taking notice. Head over to the opinions column of the Los Angeles Times, and you'll find writers like Amanda Walajono begging the question, who gets to be a Pilates girl? For a lot of women of color, the answer feels like a simple, not us. Pilates can feel exclusionary, and really, That's by design. It's baked into the branding. You see, there's a very specific image sold to women who do Pilates. This time, rather than picturing a Pilates studio, I want you to envision the Pilates body, the one so many women are promised when they sign up for a course. Is it petite, slender, toned? While you might be thinking all of the above, you wouldn't be the only one. Here's YouTuber Mina Lay in a video titled The Myth of the Pilates Body.
Pilates marketing promises thinness, no matter what your starting point is, as long as you stay dedicated to the workout.
One Pilates instructor even went viral for saying the quiet part out loud, that somehow all of her students have the same body type.
It's so crazy to me how just this certain workout gives this copy and paste body type to people who stick to it and do it so much.
You see, as egregious as it sounds, it isn't really that rare for Pilates instructors to explicitly sell their courses on a fantasy of what it'll turn their body into. Pilates is presented as some kind of miracle drug, akin to Ozempic, somehow trimming off body fat and toning all at once. Let's be real. When was the last time you put off going to the doctor? Maybe you said, I'm too busy, or it'll heal on its own, or my personal favorite, I don't even know which doctor to go to. We've all been there. Booking a doctor's appointment can feel really daunting. But there's not really an excuse anymore, thanks to ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. Most bookings happen within 24 to 72 hours, and you can even sometimes get same-day visits. I know that if I ever needed this, it's exactly what I'd use. Stop putting off those doctor appointments and head to ZocDoc.com/Sportly to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Sportly. ZocDoc.com/Sportly.
Sergeant and Mr. Smith, you're gonna love this house.
Bunk beds in a closet?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
If you're a fan of Spotify Wrapped, you might have heard of the Pink Pilates Princess, a label the streaming giant assigned to its users who listened to a lot of pop music in 2024. And sure, Spotify might have made it bigger, but the Pink Pilates Princess is a real thing, beloved by many on platforms like TikTok. Here's YouTuber Madison Brown.
The Pink Pilates Princess aesthetic is it's similar to the whole That Girl thing. It just is associated with a specific exercise and color. I think it's associated with the whole ballet core, ballerina core fashion trend that's going around. The Pink Pilates Princess is all about being cute and feminine and dainty and slim.
It definitely hasn't hurt that some of Hollywood's biggest it girls, Kendall Jenner, Bella Hadid, Hailey Bieber, are caught in paparazzi photos headed into their Pilates studios, adorned in sleek matching yoga sets. These women have basically become the faces of the Pink Pilates Princess, influencing their many millions of followers in the process. Now, you might be wondering, what does any of this have to do with race? Well, the myth of the Pilates body is actually about a lot more than just Pilates. As Brown rightfully observes, it's part of the lineage of dance and ballet culture that privileges slenderness, very light muscle, and, yes, whiteness. Pilates isn't quite like your run-of-the-mill exercise, like jogging or weight training. Many of its movements and routines are actually inspired by dance, and by ballet especially. So it's not too surprising that we see a lot of the same cultural tropes around Pilates as we do with dance and ballet. And when it comes to unhealthy expectations for female dancers and ballerinas, well, let's just say there's a lot there. Here's Mina Lay again.
You don't necessarily need to be rail thin to be a good dancer. And actually, up until the 1950s, there were many professional dancers who were relatively curvier. But George Balanchine, the founding choreographer of New York City Ballet, popularized the preference for dancers with long legs and tiny heads, a preference that has stayed for years long after he retired. The ballet dancers who have these bodies tend to be the ones who get selected for performances, solidifying this idea in our culture that all dancers have a certain body type.
And the image of the dancer body that has taken hold is pretty actively exclusionary to women of color. You see, the features that we've come to expect in, say, a ballet dancer, long legs, a lack of curves, or wide-set hips, are less common in women of color. So when the dancer body becomes the coveted prize for Pilates users, that impacts our perception of who these exercises are really meant for. Couple that with the fact that these classes are just really, really expensive. Based on an LA Times analysis, Pilates classes tend to cost around $30 to $40 per class, while monthly packages go for around $300 to $400 a month. Head over to a popular luxury gym like Equinox, and you can expect to pay nearly $1,000 a month for Pilates training. All that for an exercise class. And with high amounts of wealth inequality, particularly for Black and Latino women, it should come as no surprise that Pilates has begun to feel like a club for affluent white women. But even as Pilates continues to feel like a white-dominated space, it's worth pointing out the obvious. Plenty of women of color perform, teach, and enjoy Pilates. And not only that, but these women are increasingly pushing back against its white image, making space for themselves. Women like Sonia Price, a certified Pilates instructor and the founder of Black Girl Pilates. What is Black Girl Pilates? Well, it's an organization dedicated to building community between Black Pilates instructors. Price founded it in 2017 after working as an instructor in New York, taking a look around and seeing that no one looked like her. Here she is in her own words.
And what I've said in many podcasts and articles before was that I started it because I was fucking lonely. I was lonely in this business. And, you know, if you know anything about Pilates or whatever that you see online, whatever your experience is, it doesn't look anything like me or you at all. My introduction to Pilates was through a Black woman. So I thought to myself, well, why in the hell does our community not know about this?
In a piece for Medium, Price writes that even with the significance of women like Kathy Grant, quote, the face of Pilates has never been a Black person. And rather than just ceding the world of Pilates to white people, Price's group is working to change it. What started off as just a support group is now a full-fledged organization, complete with their own courses, workshops, and even an annual conference. That kind of work challenges the white, affluent image of Pilates that keeps women of color from feeling welcome in its spaces. And the message is really resonating. Black Girl Pilates has been profiled in outlets like Women's Health, Self, Healthline, and The Washington Post. And they aren't alone in their efforts. Just a few years back, Mickey Havard, a certified Pilates instructor, published Pilates for Everyone, a book that provides movements for bodies of all shapes and sizes. So there are signs that the tide is turning. Even in the face of the exclusionary aesthetics attached to the practice of Pilates, women of color are continuing to assert themselves in the space, following in the footsteps of giants like Kathy Grant and Lolita San Miguel. If you're looking to get into Pilates, but you feel unwelcome or you're not sure if you're the right shape or size, know that there is a place for you. Look for studios that pride themselves on more inclusive teachings and routines. And just remember, Pilates is supposed to be for everyone, just as Mr. Pilates himself intended. Thanks for tuning into Sportly. Tune in next week and every week after for a new episode. And if you have thoughts or suggestions for a topic you'd like me to cover, I'd love to hear from you. Please email me at kavitha@immigrantlypod.com. And if typing a long email isn't your thing, record and attach a voice memo to your email. Who knows, I could read or play it in one of the upcoming episodes. Sportly is an Immigrantly media production. This episode was produced by Sadia Khan. Our associate producer is Andrea Koskay. Written by Nicholas Black and me, Kavitha Davidson. Research and fact-checking by Suhasini Patni. Our sound designer and editor is Paroma Chakravarti. Our theme music was created by Simon Hutchinson. Other music by Epidemic Sound. Tune back in next week for more Sportly.